I'm coming. I'm coming, baby. All right, guys, what's going on? Let's get a few things straight before I even start, okay? This is not a review. I know with the last couple of videos I did, there was some confusion for some reason, even though I pretty much said that it wasn't a review. The things that I was talking about seemed pretty self-evident to me, but this is not a review. This is a commentary. Just like most of what I do, it's very nuanced. You know, a lot of people try to put me in this box. They try to see me the way they want to see me and everything for reasons I'll get into in a minute. But a lot of times I'm sitting back and I'm making commentary about what's going on. If it's a review, I usually put in the thumbnail that it's a review. So when I'm talking about Ironheart, as I am this time, I'm really talking about what's going on around this show. The video that I did previously to this one, I said that it was primarily talking about the marketing of the show and how I resented that it was marketed at the last minute, mind you, to the Black audience. I felt like it was a desperation move and I felt like it was condescending because what it was doing was implying that Black people are not critical. We're usually they expect us to rally around something just because the people look like us. That's the danger of the narrative that we've been seeing over the last few years. There's this running narrative that we just want representation. That's the beginning of the struggle. That's the end of the struggle. Just put something on the screen that looks like us and we will be pacified. However, you saw me just talk about on one of my last videos, the dawning of AI. Those images look like us, but they're doing some disgusting stereotypical stuff. You know what I mean? So you can't always just say that all we want to do is be seen. So I push back on the notion that Black people don't have standards, we have no objectivity, and we don't have the right to say what we might like or dislike about something that is put out in our name. You know, when they say this is Black or it's unapologetically Black, we're just supposed to rally around it regardless of what we're seeing, you know? So I said in that previous video that I did not see the show. I don't have Disney Plus. I don't care to pay Disney Plus to watch this show. I don't care to pirate the show. I'm not interested in the show. The first time you heard me talk about the show is when I saw that they had a trans actor in there. That was something that I felt was problematic, you know, with this shortage of strong black male images that we have today, you know, noting the absence of T'Challa Black Panther, but they will go out of their way to put a trans man in there. Personally, I had a problem with that. If you don't have a problem with that, that's great. We're not supposed to always agree. And that's my point. There is no just coming together under some vast imaginary umbrella of blackness. We have the right to have free thought. That's my only point. It was not a review, but got a lot of hardheads out there who came into the comment section and wanted to call me a Sambo. They wanted to call me a coon, you know, all the usual stuff that they do when they think that you're not on code, right? Well, there's one thing undeniable. You can see that I'm Black, but I have undeniably a black ass that you can kiss too. Okay, so I don't care about that stuff, not in the least. All right, so we got that straight. The other one, people will tell me you're a grown man. Look at you, got grays. How? Why do you even care about comic book movies and cartoons and all that stuff? It's for kids. Well, guess what? Anyone who's been watching my channel for any amount of time would know that my primary motivating factor is my kid, okay? I told this story millions of times. He noticed long ago when he was like 9, 10 years old that things were changing with his cartoons. They were changing with his movies. He was a big fan of Luke Skywalker. He was a big fan of Finn in The Force Awakens. And by The Last Jedi, this child, turned off to all of it because he saw that they were destroying the characters that he loved. They were destroying the notion that he was going to grow up to be a man because they came up with this term, toxic masculinity, and everything they did was to undermine boys who were going to grow up to be men, to make you ashamed of being men. If you were white, they told you that you were going to grow up to be a racist, toxic white male. If you were Black, you were told that you were going to be a criminal. You know, this is the number that they were doing on our boys. You know, they would rather push homosexuality. They would rather push transsexuality. You know, all of the femininity. They would rather push all of that stuff. So, not femininity, I should say feminism. All right, there is a difference. So my son got turned off to all of that. He didn't want toys. He didn't want any of that stuff. And I love sharing that stuff with him. He loved Black Panther. He loved T'Challa. I told that story millions of times. And he was let down when they killed that character, T'Challa. He was let down with Wakanda Forever. And I talk about it. I talk about it as a parent. So when you tell me that it's for kids, I would agree with you. They're for our kids, and we should be paying attention. I do. I don't know about you. You might be the type to just leave your kid in front of a TV and walk away, or drop them off at the movies and just walk away, not knowing what they're being indoctrinated with. Or you do know that they do that, right? Or are you just one of those people who still think that it's just entertainment? So anyway, that's the reason why I do what I do. So miss me with all of that stuff. You know, miss me with the you're not black enough, miss me with the you're not young enough, miss me with all of that stuff. All right. Do we got that straight? All right, let's proceed. I want to talk about Ironheart here a little bit more because there is a misunderstanding as to why I'm a little bit less than supportive of this show. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples and reasons why, and you can believe it or you can not believe it. You can take it how you want. Either way, we're going to get into it. This is the gospel according to Mark with a C. He is I, and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you guys. Do me a favor, hit the like. Make sure you remain subscribed. To all the new subscribers, I see you. Welcome to the channel. I'm sure it's just a matter of time before I piss you off. But for now, let's love each other. Anyway, if you want to contribute to the channel, there's a super thanks feature in each and every one of my videos right there along the bottom of the screen. Thank you to everyone who has donated. And if you consider it in the future, thank you in advance. All right, guys. So I want to start off with the reasons why I'm a little bit less than supportive and a little bit skeptical of Marvel, the MCU, Disney especially, when they decide that they're going to market to black audiences, okay? As if we're not all one audience, as if we're not all human, as if we don't all want to be entertained. When they say, or when you see marketing that is directed towards the black audience, you need to be a little bit skeptical about that. I know I am. And I want to start off by showing you something here. And we're going to do it a little something like this. Let's see, where is it? I want you to consider this, okay? You guys remember Todd Bridges, starred in Different Strokes. He was Willis of What You Talking About, Willis fame, okay? That Todd Bridges. Well, a lot of people don't know this, but Todd Bridges was actually going to be in the 1980s classic, The Breakfast Club. Yeah, imagine that. I wonder if he was going to be the criminal. I hope not. That was Judd Nelson. But anyway, Todd Bridges was going to be in that movie. However, Todd Bridges says that he wasn't in the movie because John Hughes could not write for black people. Okay, you see the headline here. He was almost in the Breakfast Club, but John Hughes couldn't write for the blacks. I love it when they say that. The blacks. The blacks. It sounds so funky, doesn't it? He couldn't write for the blacks. It seems so dehumanizing. It really does. All right. So at least he was honest about it, guys. At least he was honest. I kind of get the feeling that what we're dealing with in Hollywood today is a lack of ability to admit that you don't know what you're doing when you're writing for a black character, because consistently all you see is an underdevelopment of these characters. You know what I mean? And I want to show you this. I mean, there's a lot that I'm going to show you here, guys. All right. So let's just go back. All right. Because I want to show you something else, because there seems to be some misunderstanding here. And what we're looking at here, right? These are the creators of Ironheart. Okay. I'm getting seriously checked for my blackness in my comment section. Thank God, not by the majority of you. That's why I love my viewers. Okay, I might not have the most viewers in the world. Somebody tried to attack me on that. That's why your viewership is what it is, bro. Just stop, okay? Just stop. I don't give one solitary fuck about what you're saying, okay? But the point is, my viewers are some of the smartest out here, for the majority of them. You know what I'm talking about. You know why I say the things that I say. But There are people out here, they're new, they come in here and they want to attack me. Oh, you're not black and blah, 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 blah. You're up in the white man's ass. Well, you're the one that's up in the white man's ass because you can't see past that, okay? But the point is, right, is that these are your creators of Ironheart. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just that it's a fact. You have Mike Diodato and you have Brian Michael Bendis, okay? All right, there they are. Some very good looking, kind looking gentlemen. As you can see, they're not black. Ironheart was not created by anybody black. It's not owned by anybody black. Nobody black gets paid, uh, for creating Ironheart. Okay? So let's keep that in mind, all right? Let's dispel the little black fairy tale that we have going on here. Okay? Okay. All right. Now, let's look at something else because I want to talk to you guys. I want to talk real to you guys, all right? I want to explain to you uh why it is that I am skeptical about Disney, the MCU, even the DCU, even, like the industry in general, when they decide that they're going to do things in the name of blackness. All right. Because historically speaking, those of black actors, directors, writers who get into the industry, inevitably they all tell the same story. They feel like they were underappreciated, they feel like they were underused, and in some cases they feel like they were abused. Now let's run down the line real quick, all right? Now I want to start off with John Boyega, okay? Let's look at what John Boyega had to go through because they love to bring up John Boyega, all right? So you guys might remember this right here, the Force Awakens Postergate situation, where they took the image of John Boyega. As you can see, he is black, and they shrank him down on the promotional poster for China because China doesn't want to see a prominent black man. And do you think that Disney Lucasfilm would have stood by their actor? Well, you would have thought they would because of all the talk that they make, all the big talk about being all for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we love the black people. But they damn sure bent over when China told them to because they shrank him down. Honey, I shrank the Negro. And there he is because they would rather see a droid than John Boyega. You know what I realized too? They also took Chewbacca off of there. Damn, they're anti-Chewbacca too. But anyway, they took John Boyega and they shrank him down, all right? And even though they try to put it on the fans, oh, the fans are racist and all of this stuff, Disney, Lucasfilm sure didn't stand by him, okay? To the point where John Boyega actually spoke about it to GQ magazine. And he said, you get yourself involved in projects and you're not necessarily going to like everything, but what I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them pushed to the side. It's not good. I'll say it straight up, he says. Okay, so John Boyega felt like he was disrespected. He felt like they developed the character of Rey. They developed the character of Kylo Ren. They didn't develop his character. Even Poe got more character development. Rose Tico got more development than Finn did. Finn was supposed to be a Jedi. Remember, it was actually hinted in the movies. They didn't develop it. You understand what I'm saying? The lack of character development. If they would do this to the character of Finn, if they would do this to John Boyega, what makes you think that they would not do this to Riri Williams? What makes you think that they would not do this to Dominique Thorne? Is my question to you. That's the reason why I remain skeptical when I look at their marketing towards so-called black people. All right, now let's get to this next one here, okay? We're going to talk about next. This is Nia DaCosta. You might remember Nia DaCosta. She was the director of the disaster that was The Marvels. Nia DaCosta felt like she was done dirty by the studio. And I'll look at this. I'll show this example here from The Root. Amid The Marvels box office failure, you heard me talk about, the black mask of failure, all right? They know it's going to fail or they know it's risky, whatever, so they put a black face on it. And when it fails, it just looks like black people are poisoning this space. Amid the Marvel's box office failure, black women will defend Nia DaCosta at all costs. As Marvel reckons with the disappointing performance of its latest movie, we're defending the phenomenal director from unwarranted attacks. Okay, all right. And let's see what they had to say about that. Okay, so here it is. From the moment it became clear the Marvels was going to underperform, there's been a concentrate or a concerted effort to undermine Nia DaCosta. What's rage-inducing is that this seems to only become the plan when a woman or woman of color is the director. Oh, the root, so close, yet so far, because they're going to be the first people who talk about the racists over there. Once again, so busy looking over there, right? They're so mad at those white content creators over there. You know the ones, well, let's keep it a buck, all right? We're talking about the critical drinkers. We're talking about the nerdrotics. Those names stay in everybody's mouth. They are so far up in those guys' asses. It's ridiculous. That's the reason why you come to me being mad and stuff like that, because you feel like somehow that I am with them. You know what I mean? Just because I'm being critical, I'm being objective, and I'm not jumping on the black bandwagon to just love everything, then I got to be like them because you're mad, you're bringing that energy over there over here that you're directing over there instead of focusing on what they're doing or how they're presenting us. You just want to love everything. Like I said, just take any crumb off the table, right? So the root are they're starting to at least understand, all right, that this only happens to people of color, or I can't say that it only does to be fair, but I'm just saying for the sake of this video, right? It seems like no one wants to discuss the obvious elephant in the room when it comes to the movie's poor box office performance, and then they talk about the SAG after strike. Okay, all right, the strike has something to do with it. Okay, but also the movie was lame, man. Remember Samuel Jackson, use your black girl magic. They were mocking you. People saw that in the promotion and said, no, we don't want that. We don't want that silliness. You know, these are comic book fans. We don't want to see Nick Fury talk about that badass scar that he got, on his eye. It's because of a cat. Dumb shit, man. You know what I mean? Listen, it is what it is. It's like the audience did not want to see that, and so it failed, right? But the point is that you had a black face on it, and Nia DaCosta felt like she was betrayed to some degree by the studio, right? So once again, there's another example of what I'm talking about, okay? So let's move over to this one real quick. We're gonna move this thing right along, right? I talked about this last year. All right. Now, this is about the Acolyte. Now, you guys might remember Amanda Stenberg and all of that stuff, and Discourse and all that stuff made a complete jackass out of herself. Once again, put out there by the studio, the black mask of failure to dance around, to be an idiot. And where is she now? Where is she now? If they would do that to Nia DaCosta, if they would do this to Amanda Stenberg and the other people that I'm going to mention, why wouldn't they do this to Dominique Thorne and Riri Williams? They have a history of underdeveloping and misusing their black characters. And sooner or later, you have to draw the line and say, we're done taking whatever you give us. You have to come correct, as we used to say, with this. Put some respect on our name. If you want to keep talking about diversity, if you want to keep talking about black this and black that, then be about it. Don't just talk about it. But they refuse to develop these characters the right way. So anyway, this story that I talked about last year, Disney forced to reveal unequal pay on Star Wars show The Acolyte. Despite having women front and center on the screen, The Acolyte is not so diverse behind the scenes. Okay, so you got that. There's a problem with pay. Okay, so it says here that documents filed by Disney have revealed that its latest Star Wars spin-off series, The Acolyte, isn't a force for equality, despite famously featuring or bragging about a female-centric cast. According to the filings, in early April last year, when production of the streaming series was still in full swing, just 30% of the 695 employees are women, and women's average hourly pay was 19.4% lower than men's. Okay, so all that talk that they do, all that talk, all that jazz that they do about being pro women, pro black, it doesn't translate to money. So while they had Amanda Stenberg out there dancing and twerking and playing in her hair and all of that stuff, she wasn't getting paid what she should have been getting paid. And that's what I was talking about back then. Okay, so let's move on because I want to push this thing forward as quickly as possible because I do have a lot to share, but we're getting there, guys. All right, I want to talk about, and you might remember this person. If you do, let me know. Do you know who that is? That is Dway Newton. Yes, Dway Newton. You might remember that she starred in Disney's Solo, a Star Wars story, right? Well, Thandiwe says that Star Wars made a big, big mistake killing off her character. Why would she say that? Let's look at what she had to say, shall we? Now, when she first started off, she was giddy, she was bragging, just like all of them. We're all supposed to support these people, right? She started off by saying, I'm the first woman of color to have a prominent role in the Star Wars legacy, she said. There have been others with one line, and Lupita Nyong'o was a computer-generated character in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, but you didn't get to see the color of her beautiful, luscious skin. Well, she didn't say that part, I did. I'm the first. I'm going to have a toy and everything. It's exciting, but that's all I can say. It's a big deal, she said. So she's so proud to be the very first Black woman in the Star Wars universe. It's a big deal, she said. Now, 3 weeks later, after the movie drops, after she saw the script, after she knows what's going to happen to her character, of course, her character was killed with very little fanfare. I would say the droid got more, the droid that Lando was banging got more emotion than her death did, right? So she said she was not pleased with the death of Val. She said in an inverse interview, I remember at the time thinking, this is a big, big mistake, not because of me, not because I wanted to come back. Remember, she said, not because of me, not because I wanted to come back, but you don't kill off the first Black woman to ever have a real role in Star Wars. Like, are you effing joking? So she had a problem with the fact that she acknowledged that historically speaking, her character was significant. It was bigger than her, yet they still killed her. So once again, guys, you know the refrain. If they would do this to Dway Newton, if they would do this to Nia D'Acosta, if they would do this to John Boyega, if they would do this to Amanda Stenberg, why would you think that they wouldn't do this to Dominique Thorne and Riri Williams, is my point. Okay, so let's move on because what she said was actually very significant to me. She said that the character was bigger than her, which inevitably, you knew that I had to somehow go here, brings me to Chadwick Boseman, okay? Perhaps the best example of all, okay? Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman's brother, Derek Boseman, says the late actor would want Marvel to recast T'Challa. Yes, his brother, who I assume knew him kind of well. But in an interview with TMZ, Derek Boseman said that he thinks his brother's character, King T'Challa, needs to live on in the Black Panther franchise, even if it would mean replacing his brother, Boseman, Chadwick Boseman, in the role. He added, there aren't that many positive influences for young Black children, and that Marvel has an opportunity to bring T'Challa back and to give fans a superhero they can believe in. And I agree. I agree with what Derek Boseman is saying. Of course, you guys know I've made plenty of videos talking about that. Now, here's the point that I'm trying to make. You see the through line to all of this, guys. You see what Dway Newton was talking about. She was saying the exact same thing. It's bigger than her, all right? It's significant, and it's just frivolously thrown away, okay? So here you have Chadwick Boseman's brother saying the same thing. And I believe Chadwick Boseman would believe the same thing. Any man who's worth his salt would believe that. No man wants what he works for, what he believes in, to die with him. That is an insult. I've said it before. I said it on the Dark Council stream. Picture it, all right? This is some cinematic right now, right? Picture the scene. Chadwick Boseman is on his deathbed, right? He's about to kick off. He's about to go, hopefully, to his heavenly creator, right? And Kevin Feige, Nate Moore, and Ryan Coogler come over to his deathbed. They're holding his hand and they're saying, Chadwick, which scenario do you think is better? Chadwick, don't worry, Chadwick. When you die, we're going to make sure that T'Challa dies with you. T'Challa will never be seen again, Chadwick. He's going to die. That's what we're telling you on your deathbed, Chadwick. Go with God. Or, Chadwick, we love you so much. We're going to make sure that T'Challa lives on. We will honor you. He will go on to inspire millions of children throughout time and space. Don't worry, Chadwick. On your deathbed, I want you to know, I want you to be comforted by knowing that your character will continue. All that you worked for to inspire these black children, to inspire these white children, all the children of the world will continue. What you did will matter, Chadwick. Which one do you think is the more preferable scenario? All right. I'm not going to answer it. You don't have to answer it either, because if you just want to come in here and argue with me and be contrarian, that's what you'll do. But I'm just putting it out there for you to consider. Okay. All right. Now, let's see if we can bring up one more thing here. All right. And then we're going to wrap this thing up, guys. But I want you to consider Bob Iger also. Okay. And before I get into that, guys, I want to talk about, let me see. Now, you know what? Let's just get to Bob Iger first. All right. Bob Iger, Disney CEO, even he knew that he's underserving the development of these characters, right? Because he says he's reflecting on his own past complacency regarding diversity initiatives, specifically mentioning Black Panther and Coco as examples, where he felt the company had achieved a lot, but perhaps didn't push further on internal culture and representation. Iger said on a Substack post that he realized he needed to focus more on the voices telling the stories and less on less in the on-screen representation. Okay, so what does that mean? He doesn't develop the characters, and he knows it. He's so busy trying to check boxes, he's not even being true to who and what the characters are supposed to be. For example, I give you Captain America Brave New World. Okay, and I've made videos about that too. I wasn't over the moon about that. All right, Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson. If anyone can answer me this, right? What is Sam Wilson's what is his development? Where's his character development? Does he have a love interest? Why doesn't Sam Wilson have a love interest? All right, look at all of the favorites in Marvel, in the MCU. Spider-Man has a love interest, obviously Mary Jane, MJ. And Captain America has a love interest. Tony Stark has a love interest. Thor has a love interest. Ant-Man has a love interest. Hawkeye has a love interest. All right, but Sam Wilson, does he have a love interest? Is he gay? Does he have children? Like, what's going on? No character development. He headlined a movie, which, by the way, didn't have the classic Marvel opening with the flipping pages. His movie was the only one that didn't have that. He didn't even have that development. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm talking about, guys. And if they can do that to Anthony Mackie, they can do that to Sam Wilson. If they can do that to Nia DaCosta, if they can do that to Amanda Stenberg, if they can do that to John Boyega, if they can do that to Dway Newton, then why wouldn't they do that to Riri Williams? Why wouldn't they do that to Dominique Thorne? After a while, guys, you have to draw that line. You have to say, wait. Before you go any further trying to talk about representing Black people, we need to address what you've done already to so-called Black people. All right. Oh, there's one more that I want to bring up too. Now, this isn't the MCU, but I felt like what this guy is saying was very significant. Okay. So let's get to, let's see if we can find this one before I sign out. Like I said, this wasn't the MCU, but when you talk about, let's say, Ray Fisher, all right, remember Ray Fisher had to go through it, and he was in the DCEU, and this was, the Justice League and Zack Snyder and all that stuff, and he felt like he got jerked around as well. Now, this is an interesting quote. He says, "When it comes to matters involving race, I always try to give the benefit of the doubt to those who may be ignorant of their own biases," he wrote, saying he received information about the conversations from individuals who witnessed them firsthand. But when you have studio executives, particularly Jeff Johns, saying we can't have an angry Black man at the center of the movie, and then those executives use their power to reduce and remove all Black people from that movie, they are no longer entitled to any benefit associated with doubt. Okay, that's a pretty good quote right there to end that on. But that's what we're talking about here, guys. All right. Now, each of these individuals in these stories are just that. They're individuals, all right, with their own individual set of circumstances. But I'm just saying there seems to be a consistency here. And I think that it goes back down to what I was talking about with Todd Bridges and how John Hughes said he didn't know how to write for Black people, which is unfortunate because ultimately Black people are just human. But until we present ourselves as human, Black people will think that we have these special needs that they have to somehow learn to write for us. Do we not bleed? And if we bleed, we can kill it. No, do we not bleed? Do we not feel? Do we not laugh? Don't we have a sense of humor? All of these things. But we don't give ourselves the attributes of humanity because we're so busy looking over there. We're looking at they, them, like I said before, at the exclusion of us. And as long as we're doing that, we're going to continue to have these issues. So, am I judging Ironheart by its content? I actually am not, because I'm not watching the show, because until we make this thing right, I'm not interested in anything that Marvel, Disney, DC, anybody. I'm not interested in anything that anybody markets directly to the Black audience as if we are something subhuman. You've heard of sub-genres. Well, we are now subhuman. And this is the second coming of Blaxploitation, and I'm not interested in it. Now, I hope that that clears that up for you jackasses that come into my comment section trying to question my Blackness because of your hangups and your insecurities and you wanting to be the opposite of white. That's all that is. If you see that your content creator that you're focused on, that you're so far up in the ass of, your favorite white content creator, to keep talking about over and over again, meanwhile, they get larger and larger and larger, laughing at your goofy ass because they see what you don't see, and that is you're so busy fixated on them, it lifts them while it does nothing for you. That's on you. But as for me, I do what I do over here. I am the gospel according to Mark with a C. You can like, you can share, and you can subscribe. Guys, I will see you on the next one. Thank you for listening. Rock on.